So if this goes back to the first masterclass where we have the evolutionary purpose and the source idea and its pattern integrity. Okay, and that's the intentionality. There's a directionality to this. There's a directionality, and the stronger, the clearer you are about that, and the clearer that's communicated. I've talked about this a lot. It becomes a transmission, and so it will cut through all noise, etc. And I use the example of someone like Greta Thunberg's voice. There's a transmission that happens. You don't have to agree with it, but there's a transmission. There's no confusion about the message, about the idea to the signal. When we're creating, and this is just use this as the metaphor diagram, the cell membrane of the enterprise. So this is an enterprise, a business, a company, or whatever you want to call it, a community group. And the steward leader operates in the cell membrane. It's a holding space. It's holding space for what needs to come through that to come through. And holding is intention as well. Expectation, you can, and there's a difference between a conscious, known, declared expectation and an unconscious expectation that you're only going to get to see when it doesn't happen, or it happens and you look at that and go, I didn't know I was expecting that. Yeah. Expectation always carries a charge with it, unless you don't have any expectation. So it always carries a charge with it. Intention doesn't carry a charge necessarily. Intention is and this is from going back to geometry. The first masterclass was around directionality, and all the other ones have been largely about structure or shape. And they can't be conflated. They're not the same. And so that intentionality that we hold, the clearer we are about that, the more powerful it is. The expectation of how that's going to manifest, or when it's going to manifest, or with whom it's going to manifest, or the color it's going to look like when it manifests. So the form, we might inquire if that is our egoic. I want it to look like this, by then, do this, da, 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 da. That is, I want it to, in distinction to the source idea and its pattern integrity. I actually wrote about this in my daily blog this morning, coincidentally, about the source idea. So the idea that we're stewarding needs to come to life in the form that it needs to come to life in, not in the form that we want it to, and not on the timeline that we want it to. And what we're doing as steward leaders is we're come back to the intention, holding the shape, which includes polarity, holding the shape of those people or ourselves that are moving this through, staying constantly in dialogue with what we're birthing. So the source idea, it's pattern integrity. In the context of the world that we're living in right now, which tomorrow could be different, and bringing it to life through that. So that's the largest sort of meta scale. If we have a bunch of people working with us on that, we might want to clarify the expectations that we have on how we work together, which is part of what's in the Trust Manifesto. So, for example, we agree that we're working together and that no one will intentionally, deliberately set out to harm another member of our working community. That's the agreement that we make. Therefore, if you did something to me and I got upset, you could say, I did not do that deliberately. And I have to acknowledge that I've either failed in my agreement to, do you understand? And that's, but in that place where we're not holding what lives in the Trust Manifesto as our act of living with each other, act of being with each other, we're not living it in practice, that creates its own tension that we grow up through. So if we have an expectation of something that we're doing, the question that you want to ask is, have you declared it? First of all, to yourself. Have you declared it to yourself? Have you declared it to other people that are in the field of the expectation? Do they know that this is what you're expecting of them or of the thing that you're creating? And if not, I would rectify that conversation quick smart, because unless we've had that conversation, you can't expect someone to read your mind. And it is, in actual fact, when the frustration and upset of non-clear expectations occurs, if we've got the right enterprise container, we can go and have those amazing conversations that elevate everyone and the work that we're doing. So I'm hoping this makes sense, because what I'm actually describing to you is geometry. But this is how life works, exists. This is how nature works.